Comics have an advantage over movies in certain ways. Movies have an advantage over comics too. I think Frank Miller talked about this. Frank Miller's dead on about this. Whatever you think about Frank Miller, he said, movies can control pace more. Like they can slow down the viewer. They can take extra time. They can whatever. With comics, you're just boom, 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 boom. Because you gotta, in order to get a reader to slow down, you gotta be really smart. You gotta
spread it over several.
Yeah, it doesn't really work as well in comics, but comics have their own advantages at the same time. You can do storytelling devices in comics that movies can never do. So there's, to a certain extent, you can never really have a direct film adaptation that's just dead on. The two mediums are undoubtedly related. That's why, storyboards for films are basically comics, but it's not the same fucking thing. And you are missing something if you don't read both. Like the closest, probably most direct comic book adaptation, like panel for panel, is what? Sin City, right? Looks exactly like the comic. You read the fucking comic, it's just there on the screen. That's just it. It's panel for panel, shot for shot, dialogue for dialogue. But even then,
it's still not the same.
Yeah, and it's still not the same. You're still missing something. Mm-hmm. You gotta pick up some of this stuff and give it a fucking whirl, guys.
Well, and the other thing is, comics, I think, are in print form are lucky to still be around because they come out of a tradition of entertainment during the Great Depression. That's when comics got really hot, and that's the one thing kids had. Now we live in a society, at least the way that media is presented, where everything is now, right now. You can have it right now, and people don't want to read; they want it told to them. And at the same time, though, it's not like. And there's always this discussion about which is better, the book or the movie. Both of them are being treated as billboards.
Yep.
They're not really trying to tell you a story. They want you to give them money and advertise whomever, Daredevil or whoever. And the comic books are treated the same way. So when you see that numbers go down at the box office, as well as being down on the comic book side of it, meanwhile, it's the same hero since we were kids, it goes to show it's a matter of execution. So to simply blame this on comics being an old idea, I think is ridiculous. When you see that these fucking trashy romance novels still sell as well as they ever did.
I've seen a lot of the complaints that I come across whenever I ask people, why aren't you reading? One obviously is money, because getting into comic books can be kind of expensive.
Oh, indeed, absolutely.
But that's why I stick with graphic novels, because they're cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
but you gotta wait.
And you usually get special features too.
Oh yeah, you'll get interviews. You'll end up getting storyboards and shit. It's really nice in some of them. You get to see all the covers and shit, and I don't know, it's kind of cool. But the one thing that I consistently, I can guarantee both of you have come across, especially Razor Fist, is that people find it to be a daunting task to jump in, even if they like a character a lot, to jump in because there's so fucking much, it's overwhelming.
Yeah. Well, which is understandable. It's understandable, and I think that's why characters like Batman, like Daredevil, like I don't think Superman has this as much, but the characters that have like an origin story that stands apart, like how Daredevil has the Man Without Fear, Batman has Year One. They've all got kind of their definitive moment where it's just read this and you're good. Just read that and you're good. Those characters tend to drop off less than others. They tend to have kind of their dedicated fan base, and at least that fan base doesn't move. And then occasionally they can gain depending on whether or not there's a movie or something out. So, and unfortunately that's not happening as much. Instead, what Marvel and DC are doing is, oh shit, sales fell off. New number one. Here you go. Like, fucking, this is ridiculous. Look at this shit. Look at this shit here. Fucking, this is Daredevil number 15. This is the newest issue, or this is the second newest issue. This came out last month. And they're starting a new story arc on it. So what do? To fucking trick the reader? They put number 1 in the corner. It ain't fucking number 1. It's a new story arc. But they put number 1 in the corner just to trick you into thinking it's goddamn number 1. to pop the fucking sales. It's shameless.